Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we are seeing some quite warm humid air in the southeast at the moment, but it is going to get pushed away in the next 24 to 48 hours, resulting in quite a bit of rainfall, especially across parts of Wales, northwest England, the Midlands as well, for slowly sinking southwards and eastwards, with many areas seeing some quite heavy rain, especially through tomorrow. Through the middle of the week, it's not looking too bad. There'll be showers around. There's a bit more of a westerly flow, so fresher Atlantic air in, and we're likely to see temperatures back down towards average, mid-teens, maybe high teens at best. But as you've seen in the last few videos, as we do head towards the end of this working week into the weekend, we could see an exceptionally hot air mass start to move up from the south. Now at the moment, as we'll see on the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the Ensembles, it is a transition. It isn't going to be sticking around for more than in a few days' time, as we are in October. We have to remember that. There is very little scope for seeing an insanely hot air mass stick around for more than a couple of days, because it simply just loses its steam as the northern hemisphere is now cooling, as we're now heading into the middle of autumn. But when this really quite hot air mass, this North African's Iberian air mass moves in through next weekend, we could see temperatures as high as 25, 26, or maybe even isolated 27 or 8 degrees in a few areas, especially across the south. Now, not only is this going to be a very warm air mass, it's going to be very widespread, even getting up towards parts of Scotland. Yes, in these northern areas, it's not going to last as long, but it's going to be insanely warm and humid up and down the British Isles. So we've got that to look forward to as we head in towards next weekend. But at this stage, we're going to get through the next few days where we're going to see quite a bit of rain. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, which you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see the dividing line between the very warm, humid air across the southeast at the moment and the cooler, fresh Atlantic air further northwards. And you can see we've got a bit of a weather front stretch across parts of the Midlands, Wales, into northern England here. We've got some light and patchy rainfall. This is the dividing line here between, as I said, the warm, humid air to the south and fairly fresh air to the north. So unfortunately, in these areas, it's going to be quite a gloomy day, or has been quite a gloomy day with quite a bit of rain. Elsewhere, we have seen quite a bit of cloud around, but there's been no rainfall elsewhere. If you look at the temperatures, you can see the dividing line here down towards the southeast. Orange is developing. We're seeing temperatures into the low 20s today. We'll actually have a look at those top temperatures in a minute. Temperatures that you'd expect to see on an average day in July or August, not what you'd expect to see for the 1st of October. You can see why it's so warm. Look at France, Spain and Portugal. This is where the airflow is coming from, and that's why we're seeing it fairly muggy at the moment. And this area is going to return with even more of a vengeance as we head towards next weekend, making it even warmer. You see further northwards and westwards, it's not cold by any means, but it's slightly cooler with fresher Atlantic air moving in. Now, if you look at the top temperatures, you can see today we've seen temperatures reaching as high as 22 or 23 degrees around the 2 or 3 p.m. point. Remember, these are not all the weather stations, just the ones that NetWeather have access to. So you can see for quite a large area in around the London region, southern and southeastern areas, 22, 23 degrees, as I said. July or August average high temperatures make it feel really quite muggy out there. Again, you could look at the dew points, look at that, into the high teens or even touching 20 degrees, so insanely hot and humid air mass. And there is even the risk of a few thunderstorms tomorrow with this amount of energy around. But if we do now have a look at the UKV, we'll be able to see the precipitation and, of course, the temperatures over the next 5 days. Now, you can see the rainfall further northwards was a bit heavier earlier this morning, but is now easing away. And you can see it's going to linger a little bit overnight, but really is only going to pick up as we head towards tomorrow afternoon. You can see rainfall re-engages, turning quite heavy, maybe even thundery in a few spots as it clears through much of Monday afternoon. And you can see that really turning quite active through early hours of Tuesday. Again, could be a few thunderstorms breaking out embedded within the weather front before eventually getting swept away, bringing fresher air for all. You can see that fresher air mass coming in from the west, and we're all into a fresher westerly flow for Tuesday, Wednesday with some heavy rain in the north, and into Thursday. But what happens to Thursday afternoon? You can start to see the wind direction changes, and you can see this precipitation is heading northwards instead of eastwards. This is because we are seeing high pressure starting to build and a southerly wind starting to arrive. And behind this heavy rain, we've got that insanely warm air mass. Now you look at the mean sea level pressure right at day 10, you can start to see southerly winds appearing. And if you look at those upper air temperatures, it's warm at the moment, but it is decreasing over the coming hours into tomorrow and Tuesday. But then look what happens as we head towards Thursday, Friday. The very warm, hot air is starting to return and really will embed itself in by Saturday and Sunday. But in the meantime, if we have a look at the temperatures in the next 5 days or so, you can see 22, 23, 24 degrees today. So really quite warm and humid, but it could be even higher next weekend. As we head towards Monday afternoon, look again, still 20, 21 degrees, but more rainfall moving in, so probably won't feel as pleasant as today, but will still feel fairly muggy in those southeastern regions. Into Tuesday, again, could see an 18 or 19, but starting to cool down. And Wednesday, we're looking much more likely to be in around the mid-teens, maybe 16 to 18 degrees at best. So much more in line with average, but still probably above average in a few spots. And then into Thursday, 18, 19 degrees again, and you'd expect by Friday those temperatures to start to climb even higher. And by next Saturday, Sunday, we could be looking at mid-20s, 25, 26, maybe even, as I said, 27 degrees. So if you go to the latest GFS and see how that does evolve over the next few days and few weeks, again, you can see the westerly flow coming in this week, looking fairly fresh and Atlantic-based, but then high pressure builds in, and you can see the wind coming directly from the south. Very warm air moves in for next weekend, initially under higher pressure, for eventually, come next Monday, Tuesday, low pressure breaks through. So as I said, only lasting 2 or 3 days, this very warm air mass for the fresher Atlantic air moves in, and then we'll sort of kind of be oscillating between low pressure, high pressure beyond that, and you can see all the hot air is completely pushed well back into North Africa. If you do run back, though, you can see that very hot air arriving next weekend. The 15-degree isotherm moves in, and this is actually next Monday. Perhaps the peak from the GFS here. Huge area of 10 to 12 degrees above average. And the GFS has actually generally been a more pessimistic run over the last couple of days. So, yeah, looking insanely warm here. And again, if we zoom into the United Kingdom, look, these won't be the absolute top temperatures, but you can see what the overall theme is. Low 20s, maybe even mid-20s across East Anglia. This is next Monday, and equally 25, 26 on Sunday, and on Saturday, again, low 20s. Again, it doesn't sound amazing as we're coming off the back of summer, but for early October, that is pretty ridiculous. Now, some of you may be thinking, could we be threatening the all-time October temperature record? Now, that is set at 29.9 degrees, so we are a good few degrees off, but you cannot completely rule it out. Some of the runs, especially on the ensembles, are pushing those upper air temperatures up by another degree or two, which could aid at maybe a 27, 28 or 29. So there is a small chance, and we will just have to wait and see whether we're going to see a record-breaking air mass or generally just a very hot air mass moving in. Now, if you look at the GM, we'll be able to see that this has been really bullish with this pattern, and all the models are on board with it now. So GM pretty correct with this. You can see the westerly flow over the next couple of days. Eventually, high pressure builds in. Very strong southerly wind. Very warm and dry as we head into next weekend. Before eventually, next Monday, Tuesday, we start to see low pressure break through, and it can go very unsettled, potentially very stormy, with lots of thunderstorms and areas of heavy rain as the hot, humid air gets wrapped in the lower pressure. Now, after you run it back, you can see the very hot air arriving on Saturday, lasting through Sunday, and slowly getting pushed away on Monday. So GM not lasting it all the way into Monday, but keeping it here for Saturday and Sunday. And if we do again, zoom in and have a look at those top temperatures, you can see on Friday we're looking at temperatures around the 19-20 degree mark. As we head into Saturday, we're looking at temperatures maybe 24, 25 degrees, and into Sunday probably again around the 24 to 25 degrees. But we can't have a look at the 3 p.m. temperature here, it's a little bit too far out. So GM in good agreement with the GFS around that mid-20s point. If we look at the ECMWF, which is probably the hottest run today, again you can see the westerly flow coming in, high pressure building in towards next weekend, giving very warm Saturday and Sunday, but before clearing into Monday and Tuesday with more of a westerly flow. Again, we put on those upper air temperatures. You can see the insanely hot air mass arriving through Saturday, lasting into Sunday afternoon before getting swept away on Monday. So, in agreement with the GM there, not lasting into Monday, but being slightly more intense than the GFS was showing. You see this on the temperature deviation. Pretty much the whole country covered in the pinks here, which is above 12 degrees above average. So yeah, ridiculous temperatures, or ridiculous air mass, I must be specific there. It's Saturday, we're looking at again mid-20s. Unfortunately, again, we can't have a look at the 3 p.m. temperatures, it's too far out. But again, looking at mid-20s, and into Sunday, again, we're probably looking at mid-20s, 23, 24, 25 degrees. And I must emphasise, these are low resolution. When it comes to sort of temperatures, when there could be a couple of degrees difference, these are generally low resolution, so we'll really only know the exact top temperature possibilities once the UKV gets in range, which will be in the next sort of 48 hours or so. But at the moment, we're looking around that mid-20s range. To finish the video, if we look at the latest ensembles, these are the latest GFS ensembles, and you can see we are in a very warm, hot, humid air mass at the moment. And you can see we're going to dip for a couple of days with fresher Atlantic air before we rise once again to the same height we're seeing right now, if not a bit higher and lasting a little bit longer. And you see quite a few ensemble members are above the 15 degree mark, up towards 16, 17, 18. And those couple of degrees could make the difference between sort of 22, 23 this weekend, and maybe 25 to 26 next weekend. You can see the drop-off is pretty slow, but there is a lot of scatter as we head in towards next Monday, Tuesday time, with how it will break down. You see rainfall does cease for a couple of days from around the middle of this upcoming week until the weekend before it does pick up again. The 2 metre temperatures, you can see a big spike as we head towards next weekend, with most runs into the low 20s and the warmest runs around the mid 20s. Again, they're low resolution and showing 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. temperatures, so it could be a couple of degrees higher. And if we just finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, you can see warm at the moment, some big rainfall tomorrow, cool for a couple of days before we see another big spike around that 16, 17, 18 degree mark at 850 HPA before we drop off once again with more rainfall moving back in. So we are going to be seeing a pretty ridiculous air mass moving in next weekend. We're seeing a very warm air mass in at the moment, but it's going to be even more ridiculous. Right at the moment, it's around 9 or 10 degrees above average, only lasting a couple of days. Next weekend, lasting maybe slightly longer, and the air mass is going to be maybe 12, 13, maybe even 14 degrees above average. So pretty ridiculous air mass moving in. We can see some very warm October temperatures. Some could even call it an October heat wave, even though I know some will be critical of that sort of of the use of the word heat wave. But it is going to be ridiculously high above average. And there is a very small chance that we could threaten the October temperature record, as set at 29.9 degrees. We are, from the latest runs, around 3 or 4 degrees off that. But things can change. Once high resolution runs get in, I'm sure we'll see maybe a 27 or a 28 from the UKV at some point, and that is getting towards the range of uncertainty where 29 degrees and maybe even 30 degrees could be threatened. So we will just have to see how it does develop. But as I said in the last couple of videos, if you put your hats, if you've got your hats and gloves out and you've put your shorts and your t-shirts away, you might want to reverse that, as I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty warm, humid, and feeling like summer again, at least for a few days in the next week or so. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.